Hello everyone, welcome to the part 2 of the Oopsie videos, the ones where I left the audio muted off. So when we left off we were exploring Lindell, and clearly I've given up on the manhole for now, which means I'm going down to the rest of what's left of the sewers. Which, while the other stuff is playing in the background, I'm gonna elaborate a bit more on some points that I had from earlier. So I decided to come up with a bit of a point to kind of keep your interest a bit throughout, and to elaborate a bit on some things. So, first thing I wanted to say is me talking about the inseparable sword and me not having used it, and how actually it was pretty good against those who live in death and death threats in general, made me recall or thinking. Actually, I think a thought that popped into my head is that when thinking about it, is that I kind of wished I tried more weapons and weapon arts. Specifically, a lot of the weapons you could customize with different weapon arts, or you could change the weapon arts off, or Ashes of War, whatever the hell you want to call them. I call them weapon arts just because that's quicker to say. That's what Dark Souls 3 did. But yeah, I kind of wished I tried a bit more as opposed to sticking to just two weapons throughout the entire playthrough, which was, well, first I started with the axe, then I switched, then it was a bit of a in-between brief bit with the Lord Sworn's greatsword, then eventually I found the Bloodhound Fang, and then I found the Moonlight greatsword. Bloodhound Fang being like the second weapon I stood with the longest. For God's sakes, I cleared the whole thing with I cleared all of the Limgrave using the thing, and along with Lernia and Caelid before finally finishing up the Ronnie questline, and then I completely just switched over to the Dark Archmoon greatsword. And looking back on it, yeah, I kind of having the feeling that like yeah, I wish I tried a bit more. But then again, I probably could not, considering my build was a int and faith hybrid, which means my strength and dex was going to be naturally quite a bit gimped. And for some reason I had an obsession with going or more of a debate, an inner debate, whether I wanted a character to stay at 150 or go beyond it, just because usually you cap I was worried about about capping my level at a certain point just because of PvP. But yeah, that's one thing. And now, a bit more on a personal thing. Oh, we're getting close to an item. So I'm gonna shut up for a bit and just demolish this mob quick and have a quick read through of the item. Omen Bairn. Little trinket with ghosts and spirits. And then I'm gonna cut to me finding it because I spent an embarrassing amount looking for it. Uses FP to unleash wraiths that chase down foes. Omen babies have all their horns excised, causing most to perish. These fetishes are made to memorialize them. Please don't hate me or curse me. Please. As I was saying before, the scene caught me off topic was fuck, what was I gonna talk about? Oh yeah, so another point I wanted to bring up about, if you're wondering about like how exactly the upload schedule is looking for me, it's kind of, so currently I'm going with the idea that like Monday, Wednesday and Friday is when I upload, and the reason for that is the recommendation I got. I used to upload like daily, like every single goddamn day I put out a video, but then I got told by some family members that that's a bad idea, that actually tanks viewership because people just feel burnt out constantly. But I had a lot of footage to go through because of the way Elden Ring is, being an open world and all. Oh, but I did decide to let up a bit on it, and which is why you kind of have like the one day there's an upload, and then one day there's nothing, and then another day, and then the other day there is an upload, to kind of keep a consistent formula to, you know, give the viewers a bit of a break so as to avoid burnout, to complete burnout, but also so as to, you know, as efficiently or rather as quickly as possible cut through all the footage that I have. As for the times I chose, I don't know if you ever know which time. I don't know exactly when you see these things. I can maybe check it on my analytics, so that's probably something I should be less negligent about. But typically, I would, you know, I went for like a consistent schedule. Originally, I went for like a every 2 days there's an upload schedule, and I would consistently try to release it always on the on 18 p.m. in the evening. But some things have changed around the house, so to say, and you know, I come up a bit late. Some videos just come up a bit late, you know. Before, for a bit, if for example, for a good month, I was keeping to like I upped the time a bit by like releasing it at least on 20 p.m. which was also around the time when I changed it to releasing on 3 days of the week. But because of some things, other bits of work and all that, as I upped it up, you know, yeah, I just pretty much just changed it just to accommodate for that. And sometimes there is an upload because, you know, I kind of feel exhausted and don't feel like editing anything. Which, speaking on the editing, the reason you're not gonna see that many beams is because I find my voice on this outside perspective on at least this little three part oopsie or whatever to be a bit, they don't mesh well. You know, my voice is probably not exact. I don't think me having my voice will work well together with JonTron, for example, loudly yelling what. And yeah, so yeah, this is why the upload schedule is. So yeah, recently been trying to keep it to like at least releasing on the 20th to give me some time because of other bits of work. But because of this and, you know, work as well, also the fact that I've run into a bad habit or developed a bad habit where not being able to fall asleep from like very late in the night, like 5 a.m., which has become a very bad habit of mine, and I wish to rectify that at some point if I can. And the waking up at the staying awake till like early morning essentially, and then finally losing consciousness and waking up at like 14 or 13. I wish to fix that because that would give me more time to work on stuff. And yeah, I also got lost in the sewer, by the way. Was very confused. I was a little bit confused on where to go. So yeah, so this video you may see it a bit later on, a bit like close to almost midnight, like 23 EPM. Pretty much just because, well, got tied up with some other stuff I was told to do. Ooh. But after I'm done with all this, I plan to then change to a different schedule. So the way I did it was because... So the way I was doing the recording is that I was playing a bunch in bulk and having a bunch of footage, and then sitting for a good couple of times just doing nothing but editing and uploading. But let's just say that kind of feels a bit shitty because you have these long periods of playing, and then you have these long periods of not playing. and that's what that as little that's what that little thing would do to me, and I kind of didn't like that. I'm currently stuck with this though on Elden Ring, because I don't want to go on to the next game and have a bunch of footage in bulk that's just waiting to be edited. I want to finish this off, post everything up, put it up there. And then once that is done, I switch over to a different thing where I record for a bit. You know, like say like an hour or two, maybe 4. You know, like a good afternoon playtime, and then I split, and then I spend the next day editing all of that and then uploading up onto the channel. I think that'd be much nicer because, you know, I have a bit more breaks in between the other two. And it's also just to kind of see, like, how does that work out. I think that'd be nicer because it also means that, like, I'm not playing till essentially the disc or whatever, the drive where I keep all this stuff, fills up to the brim, to the point where it's almost gonna explode. Or looks like it's gonna explode. But yeah, that's what I plan to do. On the other hand, I don't know how I sound to you right now, but I'm trying to talk at the most normal volume possible. And that's because last time I was talking a bit loud, and that's because I wasn't exactly trusting the mic, and I don't think this mic is exactly the best. I've definitely had moments where I was going over some old footage and thinking it's like, I'm pretty sure I talked pretty loud there, and the mic was seems to not picking up, so I don't know how it's looking or sounding on your end. And if I'm checking OBS, okay, so it's consistently going over the green line over onto the yellow line and a little bit on the red, so I guess that's fine. But yeah, so last video I talked so much that I was that my throat actually felt sore and worn out, or talked so loud that it had that. So I'm trying to now talk at a bit more of a normal volume to myself, but because I don't trust this mic to exactly pick that up good enough, I'm having it sitting here a bit close to my face, just to make sure that it can actually read that. So sorry if maybe it sounds a bit loud, but I don't exactly have 2 monitors, as I've complained before. I wish I did. I did manage to talk to my dad and ask him if we have some shitty monitors out in the back that I can just use for no other reason than to just simply, I can routinely check OBS to see if it's working. So yeah, don't care if it's particularly good, it's just, it can be like a 1280 whatever crap that I'm only concerned with. I'm only concerned with essentially having a second eye that I can keep a check on OBS, and that's about it. And that is another enemy. I've noticed that some traps seem to the enemy's a bit too eager to spring out. Oh, and we got some nomad ashes, which is time for some more reading. And I apparently had a little brain fart over there. No idea what I was thinking there. And there I found it. A member of a tribe that was entombed in the earth so as to bury the maddening disease that followed them. Able to emit the terrible flame of frenzy from his eyes, but has low HP and is frail. Unable to take much in the way of punishment. Which is probably another summon that most people, I imagine, probably use or don't use. I don't know. I never used it. The only summons I ever really stuck to were Tisha. Oh, and yeah, I tried some parkour. Oops. The little spirit summon made me forget that. Made me forget that I jumped off the edge and died like that. And hey, round 2 of looking for the sewers. And thankfully, I don't take as much time as before. But yeah, so as I was talking on the mic volume and monitor, so yeah, it's looking like I could be getting a second monitor. Hooray for me! I'm happy about that. Even if it's a you know, a very crap one, I'm not really concerned, since its only other function is really just to be able for me to see. Just to be able to see what I'm looking at, and that's fine for me. On the topic of the mic, I have looked at whatever, or at least got a bit of a glimpse of what some YouTuber is using mic. My mic is, if I look at the branding, oh, bit of dust on it as well. Oh, it's upside down. Shit, this is gonna be Pod Pack 1. No, not that. Marantz Professional. Check the cables in, all fine. Anything else that could kind of give me some specifics about it? Like a model tag. In music GmbH, is that it? Oh, there's the classic made in China. I know that is. There's also Germany. I have no idea what some of these things are, so I'm not gonna read. So I'm not gonna read them out loud in case I spill the beans on something a bit confidential. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be stuck though with this mic that much because of money problems, so to say. Okay, I don't want to elaborate more. I prefer to keep private life private strictly. I think I'm gonna stuck with this mic, but at least make the most out of it. Though. But yeah. Oh hey, and I was done with that little puzzle. It's funny how usually the second try for me is usually where I beat it. It's hilarious to me how I could figure out the maze, yet the little golden manhole had me completely stumped. And now for something I was definitely not expecting, despite the fact that it has happened before. Oh crap, now my mic's a bit crooked. Is the volume fine? I think the volume's fine. I can even check OBS just to make sure. Yeah, everything's fine so far. And there's the surprise, Mog, who I already killed. Well, you definitely don't see the duplication come. I mean, even if it's happened like before. I mean, it only happened to me like one time, and it was with Godfrey, the weird one with the weird, the one who had the weird E in between the God and the Frey. That guy, the Altus Plateau, where I got the Godfrey icon. Not Godfrey. Fuck, not Godfrey. I just realized I was mixing up names. Godric, and then his weird twin called Godofroy. I was actually gonna make like a... I was thinking of making like a joke, but I never got to it, where the joke was I suspected that... Well, now I have the best time to make this joke, but the joke was gonna be that the reason Erica hounded and divorced Godofrey is because he was a dumb git and kept having very unoriginal and uninspired names for all his kids. And he was gonna like, there had another kid and he was gonna call him like Godman Frey. And Marika just goes, I want a divorce. And after that, Godfrey gets kicked out of the lands between. But yeah, I guess the only time it gets the only first instance I had of this boss duplication was well, I mean there were other times aside from Godric. Oh yeah, I also forgot to read that. Oh well, too bad. There were other times from it. The Apostle was one of them. Oh, and Peck of the Talisman, Erdtree's ever, which I forgot about that came after because of me talking. Which is... Erdtree's Favor is a... If you know what the Ring of Favor is from the original Dark Souls, then you already know, but I'm not gonna elaborate on it further because I want to continue talking on my points, but yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about again? I keep forgetting. I should really start bringing a notepad out with me to keep on track. But yeah. I think after this, we're nearing the end here, because I pretty much recognize this part. Also, you can get behind that altar. If you whack it, you know, it opens up. Not like an illusionary wall dissipates. It's like some clever mechanism just reacts to you hitting it, and it opens up to reveal this other area. And I know I said before that I would like to respect spoiling you, but the reason why I spoiled it is because I then ran into another issue at some point later on where I forgot to turn on the camera for OBS, and so I missed some bits. Don't worry, I checked it. It's nothing major like a boss, although I did miss some bits like a quest line and everything. So yeah, so I did a bunch of oopsies. I should have said that maybe earlier. I don't know if I said that earlier, but I'm just gonna cut it out. That some bits some bits I did miss, but that's all I'm gonna elaborate on. Oh yeah, another point I wanted to elaborate on further was me talking about how I kind of didn't like Lindell and thought it was boring in comparison to Stormveil. For some reason, whenever I think of the other dungeons, I just feel like Stormveil is the one that does a good Souls formula dungeon the best. It has like the most interesting layout, the most interesting placement of enemies, and the most well thought out. It kind of feels like in an open world game that kind of like, I look at Stormveil as kind of similar to me editing all of this stuff, where, you know, at the beginning it's like I'm all giddy, I'm all happy, I'm all trying out these tools and learning new things. You should have seen my face and excitement upon seeing how I could key out green screens to put memes on the screen. I was pretty happy about that, but then as the time dragged on, it's like there's like less effort put into it, which is, I kind of feel like Stormveil may have been the same thing. It's like probably like the first area they designed, and then they realized that like, oh yeah, fuck, this is an open world, and then the devs got burnt out. Oh, and one of the rare traps that actually got me off guard, I guess. Eventually enough faulty traps that set off too soon, you do eventually run into one that does catch you. Well, anyways, that's the end of this little part. See you on the next one.